question is about not having any kind of surgery to help with club feet and what to work on as far as the movement. I know all about that because I was born with club feet and I had boots put on my feet and the bars, so that's why my knees are off, and my feet too. Even right now you can see how my foot will hang down versus that uptake or something like that. You can see no matter what how my foot likes to present, which is fine. But what people don't understand is not so much the pressure points through the foot, but how the foot connects into the stand. So when you're working with the foot, you really have to consider, see if I do this, see how my foot hangs, right? It's not going into that opposition of gravity naturally. So when you're working with it, and this is where it's a little bit hard because I'm on my own here and I can't show per se what I would do when I was touching someone. I'll work with my baby doll, but notice how you want to apply input onto the foot through various ranges, through the metatarsals. I'm not talking pressure points, I'm talking about the input to the stand in this position. So as the knee rolls to the floor or finds pressure to the floor, you want to put input into the foot as it's coming around. So even though it looks like I'm touching my foot, let's say, what I'm doing is working on the input of how the whole leg presents into the floor or into the pelvis. So when a child goes to push off or does something, you're right there to press through, so the input does go through here. You want to take the same considerations in this. So again, see how my feet, even to hang down, will naturally go in, kind of thing. When you're touching the foot, and again I'll do it with my doll, you want to make sure that that input comes as that whole foot comes around and then into the hip joint. So even when I go like this, let's say, if you look at a child that didn't have the club feet, their feet would be more, again, towards the ceiling, almost as if, and this is what the Feldenkrais likes to do, put the books on the feet to play with the different balancing points, versus, see this, I put more pressure, my hips, the input is different. So if you hang with your feet in, you'll feel it here, versus if the feet, let's say, were here, more in a pre-crawl. Because a foot kind of becomes an afterthought. So you want to make sure too, again, that as a practitioner putting the input in through the foot that way, but at the same time too, and this is a trick or a process that I use that people don't see that often. As they go to push out, you want to apply that same kind of pressure here, because when I go to, let's say, sit up or do things, it's that pressure. A baby is learning how to oppose gravity at 14.7 pounds per square inch. We don't feel it anymore because we're so used to that pressure of gravity, but they're actually, in a sense, as if there's like, if I had a giant bubble or a saran wrap, I'm feeling that kind of pressure going through there. You want to allow that pressure, because with the club foot, what they're going to do is this. And see, I'm not getting the spinal input and into the system as I would as if the foot was going out, let's say. And I'll just show you quickly a little bit on Madison. So even the doll here lays with the foot straight. So with the club foot, again, see how the input of that movement would come here. You want to come in here and redirect so that rotation is quite clear, but going into that hip. And then as a child too pushes back at you, that's where that key is. You want to offer not total resistance, so they shoot off this way. You want to do it when they go to push down again, that you're there offering some kind of resistance. I do this kind of thing, especially, let's say, if I'm working with high-end performers like an ice skater and stuff. Most people, when they go on their toes, will fall to the ground. there's a way of controlling ballerinas, all of this, horsemanship need this, where that control of the force of the foot coming to the floor is just as significant as going off the floor. An immature foot or just an average person only thinks of going up. Down is a fall. To have that control coming down. So you want to come in and redirect, try and get that force around. So as again that child pushes down, you're there to offer that same kind of input as if you're going in. Very similar to when someone's doing an isolated weight lift in a slow. Instead of most people jerk the weight and work out that way, that a more significant workout would be you lifting the weight as well as releasing the weight. That slowness going back down is just as significant as going up. And that's what you want to consider when you're working with the club feet, especially too now when you get the both feet more integrated. Again, it's not so much that I'm touching the foot, but how the weight transfers through the pelvis in this position. See this? See the difference? Versus here. See, just even bringing this rubber doll into position, you can see how the pelvis responds completely different for this kind of significant of biped locomotion versus here where it's going more through midline pubic bone kind of thing as far as the information to the central nervous system in the brain. I hope that helps you working with club feet, or some considerations to think about when working with a therapist or practitioner.
By joining this exciting community, you will learn how to help infants from the moment that they enter the world and change the lives of countless children and families. Out of necessity to help her globally delayed child, Michelle Turner, Movement Integration Specialist, created Movement Lesson to benefit children throughout the world.